Welcome back, fourth graders. As we look back at both of our texts, A Bird's Free Lunch and The Shimerdas, we will use them to find similarities and differences between them. Keep in mind our essential question, how did we respond to nature? Our purpose for reading today is to compare and contrast two different texts. Before we start today's lesson, let's zoom in on this concept of first-person point of view. Point of view is the view from which the story is told. Think about who is telling the story. Is it a character, or is it a narrator or the author? There is first person and third person point of view. However, for this particular lesson, we're going to focus in on first person point of view. If the point of view is in first person, that normally means that the narrator is a character in the story or the author is telling the story. We typically get their thoughts and feelings because it's from their own perspective or viewpoint. You'll typically also hear the pronouns or words I, my, me, mine, we, our, ours, or us. So if I'm talking about my weekend, that's my point of view. So you would get a lot of thoughts and feelings because I'm the one that went through the experience. So I could say something like, I went to the park with my family. I had so much fun playing with my younger sister. I enjoyed getting ice cream afterwards. So that's an example of first person point of view, and keep that in mind as we begin today's lesson. We will be using this graphic organizer to help keep our thinking nice and organized. Notice again that we are comparing A Bird's Free Lunch by John Burroughs and The Shimerdas by Willa Cather. In the next slide, you will have an option to re-listen to the stories in case you need a refresher. What we will be comparing and contrasting are the genre. So is it a fiction text, nonfiction text? We'll be looking at who is the narrator or who is telling the story. Then we'll look at the location of the narrator. So where are they in the story? As well as what are the actions of the narrator? What are they doing in these particular texts? Feel free to listen to the stories again or jump down to the next slide to start our graphic organizer. After re-listening to both stories, I was able to refresh my memory and start my compare and contrast graphic organizer. I worked on A Bird's Free Lunch. Take a look at my answers that I wrote. For the genre, I knew that it was a non-fiction text, so I wrote that in the first box for genre. Then for the narrator, I used a few different words to describe the narrator. We know that the author, John Burroughs, is the one telling the story, and he's a real person. We also know that he's an adult in this setting. Then for the location, I know that he's inside his home because I remember he was looking out through his window and watching the birds at the bird feeder. Then the action of the narrator is he's watching all of the birds. He's letting us know and describing what they're doing because he's watching them. Now what I would like you to do is I would like you now to compare the text with the Shimerdas. In the green boxes, I would like you to compare the genre, who's the narrator, location of the narrator, and the actions of the narrator. Feel free to re-listen to the stories if you need to. Great job wrapping up both these texts by comparing them. You are doing a great job finding key events in fictional text, as well as finding details to form a main idea in nonfiction text. Tomorrow, we will start a brand new story.